Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in on today's latest episodes, the Premier League Insight Show, the transfer news, rumours, and obviously we're speaking a bit about Naby Keita at the top of the show as well. If you are new around here, want to keep up to date on all things Liverpool, obviously it's a Liverpool channel, but if you're just a sound football fan that just loves talking football, hit that subscribe button down below or the follow button if you are watching on Facebook or TikTok or Twitter. Let me know what social media platform you're watching. I'm joined by three very special guests. I'll introduce them in a little second. And it's the jam-packed show. Hopefully you enjoy it and you stick around. Let's roll the credits. I'm alive. Right, let's introduce the guests as well. Spider LFC, thank you very much for coming on, mate. And we've got Bill West from Garage Football, the West Ham perspective as well. Thank you very much for coming on, mate. And obviously Connor from the Cup Council. But gents, how are we? He's okay?
Oh, good.
Yeah, good, thanks, mate.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you very much, gents, as I always say to my guests, for taking the time out to come on the show. And obviously, as the first agenda, which we'll be speaking about, will be that man, Connor's favourite man, Naby Keita. And then we will swiftly move on into the transfers, the rumours, and obviously the more concrete. I'll be asking Bill, obviously, the Keita, the new centre-half, probably butchered that, but apologies, everyone. Probably I will be getting told off in the comments, as I know he's all like to remind me on how to pronounce players' names, but the new German centre-half for in around 10 million for West Ham, obviously reassuring their centre-back areas, which we'll speak about a bit about later anyway. But Connor, firstly, I'll go to you as I would, and as chat knows anyway. It just in relation to this latest breaking news from Florian Plettenberg, obviously a very respected journalist as well, and exclusive news. Keita is very unhappy with his current situation in Liverpool. There are talks about a contract extension, but they have stopped for now. His departure is possible regardless of Thiago and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, but early stages still. Talks are still taking place at the minute. But Connor, we've spoken, a lot of Liverpool fans over the last 12 months, it has been a situation where not just Naby, but a couple of Liverpool players at the minute will be entering the final stages of their current contract at the end of this season. And given Naby's the fee in which we pay, Connor, would this be a bit of silly from Liverpool to lose an asset, if you speak in business terms, a player that's not really entered the twilight of his career? He'd probably, for many in Europe, view this the transfer of Naby Keita today and parent club as a possible great capture.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a punch in the stomach, really, because I think all of us thought that if Liverpool offered a contract to Naby, I think he would have happily accepted it. But apart from that, I think other rumours have suggested as well that he's turned down a 3-year deal with Liverpool at the moment, and money is not an issue. It's more game time, which, for me personally, you do have to, a little bit, well, not a little bit, you do have to blame Naby for that personally. It's the fact that, when you have Liverpool's main three in midfield of course, Fabinho, Jordan Henderson and Thiago, he's not going to play. You play, of course, in occasion games, like you look at Man City in the FA Cup semi-final, he was perfect for that game. But then there's other games then where, me and you have spoken about it, Jack, and other Liverpool fans have spoken about it, how he's not there and not available when those other three that I've mentioned are not available. He can be available when they're fit, and he was that last season. I think last year he only missed 6 games in all competitions due to injury. And I think that's the big problem with Liverpool at the moment, where when we need him, he's not there. And if he's complaining about that, then for me, that's his own fault and his own problems. And if he's not happy with game time at Liverpool, then that's
then jog
100%
on.
on the player. Yeah, it's 100% on the player.
Yeah, 100%. And I get Spider's point of view, and I asked Bill if there's been any West Ham players that have come in for big money and obviously failed to materialise. Really, I'd be interested.
How long you got, mate? I'll tell you.
Yeah, I was going to say I'll have to pick two if you can before I ask you that question, mate. But in terms of Spider, we'll quickly read through obviously what Melissa Reddy of Sky Sports and of obviously Goal. I don't know if she currently still reports for Goal. Anyway, but as you can see, she does work for Sky Sports. The Keita departure wouldn't be the worst situation, as she's quoted as saying. On the Naby situation, too, is quoted as saying, you could say Liverpool are unhappy with Naby Keita because he's been unavailable so much due to his injury problems and issues adjusting from being the main man at Leipzig to operating at such a collective system under Jurgen Klopp. He shows his talent in glimpses, but not the player Liverpool thought they were getting. He was billed as if he could reach his potential, he could become one of the top 5 players in world football. I remember Klopp saying, we've signed him now, and he never had his phone buzz too much. There were so many messages of congratulations because so many clubs were trying to get Keita. I think fresh terms are the only being offered due to Liverpool trying to keep his value intact. If he were to leave, it would be the worst situation for Liverpool. It could be completely determinal on that for them as well. And Spider, that's as Melissa says there, it's and as Connor alluded to, it's the value for Liverpool. And if you're running any business and you've got an asset within your company, or if you lose a product or it doesn't make good business terms, but at the minute, if Naby's not wanting to sign on the dotted line, then there's not much Liverpool can do.
Nah, just cash in, use the money straight away and go for somebody if you have anybody lined up. Whether this thing about Bellingham is happening next season or not, I couldn't care less. I want to see what's happening now. So if Naby's going, he's going to have to be replaced. You could say bring up somebody through the youth, but they haven't been. Like Bajcetic has only had a pre-season with us. You know, he's not ready to go. Curtis Jones is constantly injured with that calf, and you know, so that just keeps popping up every 6 weeks. That needs to be looked at. As I said numerous times, you could move Trent into the midfield, and he would flawlessly go in there. You know, seamlessly, I should say, go in there. About getting the value for Keita. You see, if Keita came to us at a time when Liverpool weren't quite at their peak, so if it was a season and a half later we signed Keita and he was still at his peak at Leipzig or whatever, and there was no talks or anything, and he was still playing the game he plays, he would have played with us straight away. There wouldn't have been no loaning back to Leipzig for the extra season, which was a wasted season for him, really. He needed to come in straight away, and I don't understand. I get it that there was a queue of people lining up to sign his signature, but I don't think if Real Madrid came in from, or Barcelona came in from, or anybody else of that caliber came in from, would he be loaned back to Leipzig? No, he'd be straight. You know, they would have him straight in the bloody squad. You know, because of his form. And I loved watching Keita at Leipzig. Him and Werner together were just something to behold. You know, so it was. You know, you could see the amount of chances he created. You could see how much he controlled in midfield. He said it himself. He likes to come from deep, receive the ball, and then run at the through the midfield and do that. He didn't really get the chance to do that much at Liverpool, being that he played so far forward on the left hand side. But look, with the situation with the contract, he hasn't done enough for us for me to say, oh, we're going to miss you. I just want to know that there's going to be a replacement there. If that, and I'm the first person that doesn't care about a transfer window, but because we're so light in the midfield, I'll want to see someone replaced in there straight away. It's good that it's happening now with about 2 weeks left in the transfer window almost, or just under that. So if it is happening and there's talks going on, it's going to take the next week to finalize anything like that. To go through, and then probably another few days before he even signs for anybody. But Liverpool want to have their targets already ready to go, and you know it's obvious we're going to have to pay an extra 17 to 20 million for somebody if we're going to be getting in somebody big, or we're just going to be getting in somebody who's makeshift from the Premier League. You're still going to be paying over the odds from, because you know the Premier League caliber.
Yeah, it's spot on there, mate. And it'll be interesting to chat as well if a team does come in the next 2 weeks for the services, because technically Liverpool could still receive a small fee, which probably would be in the region of about 5 to 10 million. And it would be crazy if Liverpool, I know, as we've already alluded to, his injury record, but you never know. And if it is the case where we've got Naby leaving, Ox leaving, Milner probably leaving as well, if he doesn't get an extension, Liverpool probably have built over the last couple of years in terms of obviously a massive war chest. And as much as we don't like it, we'd like to sign midfielders this year. But if there's a case of Liverpool going to next season or next summer with, say, 3, 4, 5 senior midfielders missing from the football club, then the whole Europe will know if we've got a decent centre midfielder and that is in the top 3, top 5 bracket of world positions, then Liverpool will be coming with their FSG's wallet and spending the money with Jurgen Klopp. But
Time for Julian Ward to step up, isn't it?
Oh yeah, we'll be getting some cheeky wheeling dealing anyway. But Bill, as I said before, mate, it's disappointing in it, mate. And you obviously not just Liverpool, but a lot of clubs, but most importantly West Ham, mate. When you have signed a player or anyone in the Premier League, a player that's come with a big rapport at his previous club, why do you think he's failed to adapt to the Premier League? Do you think it's potentially physicality, or do you think certain players are more suited to leagues, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. As a West Ham fan, we've had it plenty of times. We've had good players that just haven't settled at the club or in the Premier League. And one of them, probably one of the greatest players of this century, is Javier Mascherano. We had him infamously with Carlos Tevez, then posed with Alan Pardew. That's a picture that will live rent free in my head forever. But he a very obviously outstanding player. Obviously played for you guys, Liverpool, and obviously Barcelona, where he was incredible. But at West Ham, he played 5 to 10 games and just didn't settle at all. But obviously he moved on and played pretty well for you guys and obviously Barca. So look at our most 2 expensive transfers. I mean, good players, but in terms of value for money, we just didn't get one of the most expensive is Sebastian Haller, who is a good player. And he showed that obviously when he played at Ajax. Obviously, wish him well with what he's going through at the moment. And the other one's Felipe Anderson. And our first season, he's pretty phenomenal for us. I think he scored 9 Premier League goals under Manuel Pellegrini. But since then, his form, even I think he's back at Porto now, and he was on loan as well. His form is completely nosedive. So, or he might be back at Lazio, sorry, but his form is completely nosedive since that first season in the Prem, and that was 3 or 4 years ago now. So, some players can turn it on for a season or two, but that's obviously when you have the likes of James Milner for you guys and etc. because they're so consistent. That's why they can play up to their late 30s and still be amazing. Karim Benzema for Real Madrid and being another one.
Yeah, 100%, mate. And it's probably the biggest thing in football now, and gents and ladies in chat as well. That we're looking at Manchester United and even Liverpool prior to obviously Jurgen Klopp coming in. A lot of clubs in Europe were, and even look at Barcelona now, the players they're signing in terms of not up to the previous level that you would expect. No, they're financially hit already, but it's about getting and it has always been the case. Obviously, the recruitment of a club in and around Europe as well. There's certain teams that are very renowned, and we're going to be speaking about obviously Purvis, the new Brighton left back anyway, and a club like Brighton who have been, since he's come into the Premier League, a breath of fresh air. The way their club has been run top to bottom. Obviously, a great manager in Potter as well, but obviously the model in recent years with Liverpool in terms of the strategy, in terms of the way in which they approach transfers. I think a lot of teams in the next 5 to 10 years will be probably doing studies on Liverpool and case studies and analysing how they do approach certain targets within the football club. So interesting times there, lads and ladies as well. Obviously, a quick recap on that. But, Bill, I'll go back to you. Obviously, West Ham's new centre half, the new PSG man, K. I'm going to go with that. Is it just your general thoughts on this signing, mate? Do you feel, is it an area that West Ham have needed to strengthen the centre-back position? Obviously, Dawson, I think, was missing for the first league game of the Premier League campaign, and we've seen with Antonio for West Ham this season, over the last couple of years, he's been helped now with the introduction of Schumacher up front. Do you think Kehrer will do wonders for West Ham?
Well, I hope so, mate. But I think, obviously he's, a very good player by the sound of it. Obviously, PSG bought him for, I think, 30 odd million from Schalke a few seasons ago. So, I think we've got, for the fee, I think is a bargain in today's football. An established German international, obviously played in the Champions League for PSG for a number of seasons. So, and centre back is an area we've needed to strengthen. We've sold Issa Diop, thankfully. His form over the last few seasons was pretty terrible. So good, thanks Fulham for taking him off us. Angel Bonner and Craig Dawson have been lynchings for us the last couple of seasons, but they're both injured, didn't make the squad first 2 games. So that was a worry. We've had to play Ben Johnson, who's a very young and raw fullback. He's had to play a centre half alongside Kurt Zouma. So, and especially the game against Forest, he looked, unfortunately, he's not his fault, but Johnson, as a centre back, he just looked out of his depth, unfortunately. So we needed someone else, especially with Edouard. He hasn't played this season because he got injured in pre-season against Rangers. At the moment, before today, we only had Kurt Zouma as our only fit centre back, that senior centre back. So centre back was an area we needed to strengthen, which we now have, which is brilliant. Now we can focus on other targets.
Yeah, spot on there, amazing. Connor, from an outside point of view, Bill, will be interesting to see how we do analyse West Ham. I know it's always great to get Bill on talking about the Reds as well. It's good to get different perspectives from outside the club. How do you feel, as Bill's alluded to, obviously, Kurt Zouma, he's probably one of the best centre-halves when he is fully in form in terms of the Premier League. Still quite a young age, but as Bill said, how do you feel? It potentially, obviously, hasn't really materialised. Obviously, from PSG, over the last 5-6 year period, they went willy nilly with their big transfer wallet in recent times. Obviously, Julian Draxler coming in from Germany as well. He's played for PSG, but he falls into that bracket, doesn't he? In terms of, he's still 25 years old. He's made 128 senior appearances since he joined Schalke a couple of years ago, mate. But do you think he'll do well to settle in the Premier League? He's quite, as in recent reports I've seen journals speak about his attributes, he's quite a pacey centre half, and obviously the game in which West Ham do play, that would really benefit David Moyes' philosophy on the football pitch, wouldn't it?
Yeah, no, it will 100%. And I think the problem is with the PSG style of things is when things don't go right in whatever manager's minds that they have at that time, you just get pushed back, don't know, and they bring new people in all the time. But from like you said, full international, looks to be very, very decent. The price tag very decent as well, and it's not that much of a gamble for West Ham. It's big, don't get me wrong. Yeah. It's not, they've spent 50 odd million pounds on a centre half, but they've done really, really good business in that factor. And again, it is obviously a position that is massively needed for West Ham. I think they've been playing Johnson, I think, the right back at centre half.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so again, it was must needed. I think the only other option you could potentially do is probably Declan Rice at centre back. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Again, it's the fact now that, like as Bill said, the fact that now West Ham can go on and move on to further targets in this summer for the next 2 weeks. It's going to be interesting, I think, with West Ham. But I think this particular signing, I think it is very, very decent for West Ham. Will he do amazing things straight away? I'd probably say not. He will have to take time. But again, when you have Kurt Zouma next to you as well, he should be fine. But yeah, I think it's a very decent signing by West Ham.
Yeah, chat. Let us know your thoughts on this signing. Obviously, as the lads have already alluded to, we'll get to everyone's comments, and obviously Spider, we'll go straight into the other player, which we'll discuss in a little second. Will be Matheus Nunes. Yeah, he's going more or less to Wolverhampton Wanderers. They have absolutely obliterated the record transfer fee for the Portuguese international anyway. Let's get to everyone's comments as well. Make sure Tillemans, Eamons, you know, we've done a couple of shows over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I don't rate Tillemans, Eamons. I think me, as I said a couple of weeks ago, my nan is quicker than Tillemans. In a midfield three for Liverpool, the way in which we got countered by the way in which we got countered by Crystal Palace, you could imagine Yuri Tillemans trying to maneuver, and we spoke about Naby Keita's defensive inability at certain times, especially in European big games. That don't think Tillemans is suited for a defensive. You need to be a lot more switched on.
He suits more of an Arsenal midfield, Tillemans.
Yeah,
a more technical sort of midfield rather than the Liverpool sort of high energy midfield.
Yeah, 100%, mate. As well, just keep on getting your comments in as well. Was it earlier? Yeah, not yet, not the minute. I haven't seen. He might be Helen, Henry. Sorry, I'm not doing a comments 100% because I'm not too sure in terms of obviously the date on Jota or Curtis. Ideally, would love them to be announced very soon that they're fully back fitness, but time will tell. I don't even know if we've got a club doctor at the minute, this race. Milner will probably start against United. Still a decent player, in my opinion. Yes, 100%, mate, but
he's better off the bench, isn't he? He is better off the bench.
Yeah, the year's what? The year's 2051 and James Milner's still playing centre mid for Liverpool. It will happen as well. Obviously. Tillemans, no. James Maddison, maybe. Yeah, I rate Maddison. I know you don't rate. Judging from Connor, and a lot of you probably don't.
Really good player. Really good player.
Gifted, just now. There's no work rate there, really.
Yeah.
Great number 10 would never work as an 8 for Liverpool.
No.
Yeah, no, I agree. Spot on.
Yeah, right, lads. But keep on getting your comments in as well, everyone.
Yeah, you know, it's even about Kerr there with the thing. You know, he's got a 94.8% pass completion rate from the back line. And he's interception. He's mostly aerial duel ones, and his passing is 94.8%. I was surprised that because I look up his stats when I look at players that I haven't seen around much before, and you know, his XG for tackles is a bit up. So he's 1.74, which is not too bad on the 2 for a young defender. So he can only improve that in West Ham if he can.
I've got to say, Jack. Sorry, he's actually quite quick as well.
Yeah.
From what I've read and the clips I've seen of him, which, you know, as a we haven't got the quickest back line in the league. So especially
going from Dawson to him, might be a bit of a transition.
Plus Cresswell and Soufal are not the quickest fullbacks you're ever going to see. So if we want to play this sort of push up the pitch and press and try and press teams a bit more than we usually do, then obviously you need a higher, you know, obviously you need to defend high ball. You also need quick centre backs to be able to fulfill that.
100%, mate. And we'll go to this one, Spider. I'll let you discuss this as well. As I said just a little second ago, Wolves will be breaking their official transfer fee of a club record fee in and around of, I think it works out about £38 million with a couple of million added on. Do you think it's another Portuguese player?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, one day we're going to see a whole team in the Portuguese national team full of Wolves players.
Yeah,
you know it.
Yeah, you know, it's going to be like Norway and Ireland for Wolverhampton Wanderers supporters. They're all going to be Portuguese, but it's you know, he's a good player, man. You know, he's great at winning the ball back. He always keeps the head up when he's making a run or when he's trying to make a pass. I like watching him in bits and pieces, but he's also, you know, he's also a little headstrong as well. You know, he can pick up a yellow card or two, which is dangerous in this kind of game. For Wolves, it's perfect because, you know, they're them and your Fulhams and the likes of those are going to be like your Stoke type teams going forward with those midfields. But they have a good midfield in there now, you know, with Neto and Neves back.
Moutinho, Neves, all of them.
Moutinho, they're all there, you know. So, but there's a few players aging as well. I mean, the only thing I'm worried about with Liverpool is that we have now an aging midfield, and you know, he probably would have been an ideal fella to come in with Keita leaving. So if that deal is not done, it wouldn't surprise me if Liverpool tried to do a new Luis Diaz on Wolves at the last second, you know, and there's no way Nunez says no to Liverpool if it happens.
He's supposedly turning them down as well, mate. A couple of weeks ago, if you want to read the report, Nunez, the one that's going to Wolves anyway, But apparently, I think if you want to read all rumors or whatnot, but looking like before he did reject Wolves a couple of weeks ago. Was he linked with Bill? Was he linked with Yola a couple of weeks ago, or was rumored to being linked with West Ham?
I've sort of lost count how many players we've been linked with,
Everyone.
mate. So we probably have, yeah. But to be fair, a lot of clubs have been linked with him. He's obviously a really highly regarded talent. So yeah, fair play.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. Well, spot on there, Spider.
Yeah,
as well,
the transfer is at the right level for his price as well. So that's what you expect to pay for a player of that age group, and with the record and the stats that he has at the moment in the Portuguese league, we've seen that the Portuguese players can make it in the Premier League now. So the league itself might be quite weak, but the players seem to be doing very well over here. So it puts up all of their value really when you're trying to buy them.
Yeah. Chat as well, and lads on the panel. Him in baby oil. I reckon he's never played with a player that's got loads of baby oil on him. Imagine the through balls greasing through the pitch anyway, middle of the pitch. Extra bit of swaz checkers on that ball anyway. But Connor, there's a quick thought on Nunes, mate. Do you think he'll really add to the quality in which Wolves do have? I think one aspect of Wolves' play, especially over the last 12 months since their new coach has come in, that you haven't really got that clinical finishing or nature to their game just yet. I think if you ask Wolves fans, and judging over the last couple of days, Wolves fans, I've been speaking to a couple of Wolves fans on my TikTok as well, obviously commenting, saying he's gone to Wolves. And I'm like, I know, that video was released about 3 weeks ago. Do you think he'll add more quality to that Wolves, as obviously Spider alluded to, a lot of top talented midfielders?
Yeah, 100%. Look, you don't get strong link to both Liverpool and Manchester City for no particular reason. I think he was waiting though for Manchester City to come in. If truth be told, I think obviously he was the replacement for Bernardo Silva if he was going to leave. But obviously Bernardo Silva's going to stay now by the looks of things. But I think like him, Ruben Neves as well in a midfield. Even if they went with a third man in midfield, I think like will be exciting to see what he does during the Premier League. He will add more quality, will add more, passing range. I think, just looking at his stats, I think, on progressive dribbles, I think he's in the top 99% of players as well. So I think he makes over 3.2 progressive moves per 90. So, it'll be good for Wolves, but I just think, again, the big problem for me for Wolves is striker. They need a striker. Yeah, they need goals.
Bang on.
Again, Raul Jimenez, he's good for what he can do, but again, it's that factor where they need another goal scorer. And then if they get that, it's still 2 weeks left. They can get that. I think they'll be sound.
Ronaldo on loan, anyone? As we were just saying, Portuguese.
Does he play in the Champions League?
Okay, it literally will be the Portuguese national side if Wolves somehow got him on loan.
They've got Traore back now as well, don't they?
Yeah, it'd have to be like a cash generators deal with Wolves, because he won't be able to afford like 10% of his wages. Guys, like you can have him for 20 minutes within a game, and yeah, there you go. But yeah, I was spot on there, boys. Get to all your comments as well before we do move on to obviously the couple of the other rumours. And obviously a bit of transfer news anyway. Obviously Gary. Shout out Gary as well. Thank you for tuning in, mate, as well. Millie has to start now and take no prisoners. He's our fittest player, no doubt. Pan of Scouts. That's probably one of the... I don't know if that's a troll account. I think I've got a feeling it might be, but probably one of the best names on the on YouTube anyway. Yeah, of course. Darwin headbutt Nunes is a massive loss. Hopefully we see Carvalho, Diaz and Salah start against United. 100% their data. All right, La. But we'll go straight on to the next one anyway. In terms of this one, probably one of the most overrated players in the Premier League history. Spider and chat and lads on the panel as well. We've all seen the Tottenham documentary that they done. It's great that a couple of years ago when Jose Mourinho was in charge, and he literally sat down Dele Alli saying, your career will be wasted if he doesn't buck up his ideas. And what Jose Mourinho is saying, he's clearly not taking that on board, because he's being linked with now over the last couple of days, he's been getting linked with Besiktas. Madness.
Yeah, I mean, he's a failure at Everton, man. That's some going after, turning down Liverpool because Gerrard wouldn't turn up to take it to the training ground. There was a thing about there's a thing about him that just annoyed me from the start. That it was a weird, non-earned ego from playing in a team like, was it Wimbledon or something? And at the time,
MK Dons.
MK Dons, so it's. I don't get where he came from. I get the talent, his first season at Spurs, that wonder goal that he got over, he flicked it over his shoulder and he looked like a right player and he was popping up in the right positions. But then it's just like he didn't want to make the effort anymore. And it's the same that kind of goes down the line of all of these players that you see that start off with great careers and then just kind of filter out. And as you said, Felipe Anderson, another one of those type of players, that has the world of talent, but then just hasn't got the mindset to continue on to match his body, and it's I can't get it, man. But like he should be playing Champions League football. He should be one of the most talked about players in his role on the planet because of the skill level and that he has. But he's wasted. I don't know if it's a mental block with him or what, man, but he's just wasted it. He's got to Everton. He's not showing up. His attitude looks like he's fed up with football. He's got the Gareth Bale attitude. It's like he doesn't want to play football anymore. He just wants to show up and maybe give it a go, get angry from time to time. Because there was a point in the middle where he had talent and he was laughing all the time, and then he was starting to get really angry on the pitch. And then all of a sudden it was just like there was nothing there, like the football broke him or something. So I don't know what's going on with him, but maybe a reset somewhere else and come back might work. It worked for Salah, so it might work for somebody like him. So we'll see. It's a shame because young talent that he is, but it's just he went to Everton. That's that's what, if you go from Spurs to Everton and not anywhere else upwards, it's already.
Spot on there, mate. And Bill, would you say that's a Spurs effect of not winning trophies for a couple of seasons? It does that to a man.
I genuinely believe that a big part of Dele Alli's sort of real sharp decline in his form of confidence is Mauricio Pochettino not being his manager. Because you look at his best form of his career was that first few seasons at Tottenham when they nearly won the. In the title running, him just playing off Harry Kane, he was sensational. And you look at 4 years ago, he was the main player in England's World Cup squad when we got to the semis. 4 years on, he's obviously not going to go to the tournament, later this year. He's obviously nowhere near it. So it just shows, lads, that 4 years in sport, 4 years in football is a heck of a long time. So no, it's weird, like the sharp decline in, I don't know whether it's weird because usually you read or you hear of. But maybe someone's injured or there's been family problems. It's weird with Dele Alli because there hasn't been any of that. It's going to think, well, what is it? It might, as Spiner says, he lost his love for football potentially. I think Roy Keane has mentioned it a few times on Sky. As he's lost the eye of the tiger, which he definitely has. But it's also everything he's trying. Was coming off at Spurs, but now he's just like he can't make simple passes. I mean, that just summed. I know it's pre-season, but that goal he missed from a yard out, I mean, that just sums up his career at the moment, doesn't it? So it is a real shame. Obviously, time is still on his side age-wise, but you just think, it is, someone like Ravel Morrison had a huge amount of talent. Yeah. Who does he play for now? At least Dele Alli did it for a few seasons at Tottenham, to be fair. But sometimes circumstances, form, you can only be at the top if you reach everything in terms of your training and
attitude,
attitude, mate. It's all got staying clear of injuries. All got to come together. All the stars have got to align, and they did for it with Dele Alli for a few seasons. But now that's the complete opposite. It's a real shame, but it's weird. But in terms of a sharp decline, the only other player I can think is a goalkeeper who's had a similar one is Joe Hart. I'd probably say,
but Jesse Lingard. I think Jesse Lingard kind of went that way for United a bit. He was brilliant at Spurs for West Ham for that season. He was very good. But I think Jesse Lingard's got the same kind of thing. It's all about
Welbeck, potentially.
Welbeck, yeah. But it's all about this nightlife, modern thing. They all get sucked in by it. And, You know, Nathaniel Klein is another one of those that had all the potential in the world and was ruined by the people that he had around him and the choices of nightlife that he was doing like multiple times a week.
Injuries didn't help Klein either.
Yeah.
So,
most of that is from like he'd be drinking most of the bloody week. I mean, of course, your body's going to get injured really fast, you know, that way. But look at Millie. Millie can still go. I know he hasn't got the knees to knock anymore much, but he's still really fit and he can still play. You know, so take a lesson out of his book. That's what it's.
Yeah,
no, it's a shame about it. It's a shame about Dele Alli, but hopefully he can turn his career around.
Yeah.
Stay in, Chaz, and drink Ribena, but get a cheeky cuddy on the weekend as well. So there we go. But obviously, we'll go on to we'll quickly get to everyone's comments as well. Chat, let us know your thoughts on what the lads have said. Obviously, Dele Alli, madness, going to Turkey. Besiktas, a massive club over there. But as the lads have said, potentially, I was just checking before what the lads were saying. The 11th of April, 1996, so 26 years old. So it's madness. I mean, he's only just turned, he's only just literally turned
that's coming to his
as
peak.
Well, so, that's madness. Even if he went to like a championship team potentially as well, but time will tell. But as Alan said there, us English, and I know Connor, you're Welsh anyway, but you could judge from the outside point of view. Us English, we do hype up a lot of our talent. It
was deserved with Ali, though. It was deserved with him.
Yeah,
but it's just one of those things, isn't it?
Yeah, spot on there, mate. And Philip, nice one for heading over. Make sure you head over to Garage Football as well, Bill's channel, obviously Spider LFC, the Kitmen as well, most importantly. That's the lad to my left as well. But nice one for that Phil as well. Dele Alli would be much better player under Jurgen Klopp. It would be interesting saying that Jurgen Klopp can get the best out of literally of us players. I know we'd probably last about 2 minutes on a football pitch in a Jurgen Klopp system. I know I would. I'd be knackered after about 2 seconds. But Dele Alli is an attitude problem. I think Klopp would entertain him. Yeah, 100%, mate. 100%. We'll quickly go to the last 2 stories now anyway. Connor, bit of a mad one, this. I know it was a bit of a rumour. I was going to mention the Casemiro story, but that's a load of nonsense, really. But supposedly, and this could be a load of nonsense as well, but it's an interesting transfer if it did happen. Colin, what do you reckon on this? A loan to Manchester United. Christ, they take anyone at this rate. How do you reckon this deal, if it did happen, would materialise? Do you think it's the right player for, obviously, Erik ten Hag going into Manchester United? He's certainly an improvement on some of the players you have got.
Exactly that. I think it's just, who's available and how quickly can they come in the door at Manchester United. I think I was looking at it earlier on. I think it's 17 names now that's been linked with Manchester United since they lost to Brentford on the weekend. And yeah, again, it's just one of those names again. Would he improve that United team at the moment? He would, probably. On that right-hand side or left-hand side, however you want to play him. There, but it's so unlikely that it's going to happen, isn't it? I'd be shocked if it did happen, personally. And yeah, you've mentioned the Casemiro deal. Like, I think 60 million euros has been talking, or 60 million quid's been talking about. And even Pulisic, to some extent, Chelsea wouldn't want to, just let him go out on loan. There would be, so much on probably loan fees. It'd be ridiculous. As
so
well.
That Casemiro point there, mate. Like, I seen it. I don't know if you lads have seen it or chat. There was a quote of him. It wasn't a proper quote. It was a jarred quote. But it was like, "Oh, I asked me good friends Ronaldo and Varane, and he said, don't come to Manchester United."
It's probably true. It's probably true.
See that they were linked with Joe Felix or something with a £114 million bid. And the worst of it all is that, what's his name from Tesla? So he popped up with
Elon Musk.
Yeah, he popped up with a tweet and he says, also I'm buying Manchester United. And he said, really? And then he goes, no. Because all the fans keep asking him to buy Manchester United, and he's just like, he put it up in a big post, like his own tweet, if you've seen it there today. And then he goes, somebody says after, and he says, pretty much, am I fuck? You know what I mean? That's pretty much what it is, man. They're in dire straits, really, aren't they?
The problem is,
Yeah.
though, at the minute, like United seem to have about like 3 or 4 people wanting to buy Manchester United. But it's like none of them are just truly like, oh yeah, I want to buy it properly. They're like, I like the idea of buying Manchester United, but I just don't want to put the money where it is because they all know the Glazers are just not going to sell. And this whole like protest thing ahead of Monday,
Get
it's
United scarves out.
it's going to be funny because it's not going to happen the way that people think it's going to happen. Because half the people on Twitter think the whole of Old Trafford's going to be empty on Monday, but it's not going to be.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you just don't even turn up after a 6-0 from Liverpool.
They say that Jim Ratcliffe came in today for a bid an hour ago for United to buy a fella from Ineos. Company, billionaire, to buy. Yeah, he wants to buy him with the Glazers, but he wants to see if they'll sell him enough shares or something. They're not going to want to sell. Like that,
the thing is, though, going back on the transfer type of thing, like I'm just looking now on the list. Apparently, since Erik ten Hag's been Manchester United manager, they've apparently been rumored to 172 players since he officially signed for Manchester United.
Christ, I know they're desperate, but that's taking the piss.
It's ridiculous.
I can't see Chelsea loaning Pulisic to United either. That's their rivals in that position. Or like you wouldn't see us, loaning somebody from Man City right now, or vice versa. A few years ago, City took Sterling off us or whatever, but we were a few pegs below at that stage.
I think the way United have fallen this season, I don't think Chelsea would see United as a rival.
Maybe.
I just read a bit on the Athletic. Andy Mitten, who's very in the know in Manchester, and apparently Pulisic is keen for a loan move to United, and Chelsea wanted to let him go out on loan because they've got obviously they brought in Sterling, and Pulisic is not a guaranteed starter, is he? So if Hudson Odoi another one, he might leave on loan as well.
The player will definitely want to go. But it's just a matter of will the club allow it to happen. Yeah.
The thing is with the Bowley, situation as well. I think someone mentioned it when they took over. Is it they own like a baseball team or whatever? Like they just tried to get rid of everyone that they could. They didn't care how they did it. They didn't care if they lost money. They don't care if they got people on loaned them out, and then they just wanted the fresh start completely. And already now with you look at Chelsea, they're already trying to bring in the likes of Fofana, Aubameyang. The list is probably even more as well. So they're going to probably be desperate over the next 2 weeks to try and get people off the books.
Yeah, it's going to be madness in it, boys. And chat, it's certain clubs, and we mentioned at the top of the show that we will go into a certain player now to conclude. Obviously, as I said at the top of the show, Brighton's business has been absolutely fantastic in reality. Obviously, Spider in terms of the new lad, get his first name up anyway, Pervis Espinina. He is a left back and he's played 91 games in La Liga. Obviously getting 1 goal and 8 assists, but he's a direct replacement for Mark Cucurella, who did move to Chelsea just not too long ago. Just your thoughts on obviously not obviously this young lad, because I don't think a lot of us do know, but do you think this is another great capture by yet again by Brighton with their fantastic recruitments?
Yeah, they say like Graham Potter. He really goes for the right type of player, doesn't he? I know Bissouma's just left there and Cucurella's just left there, but he seems to get in the right replacements. There was a time at the start when you took over, Brighton were struggling. They were bringing in the likes of Danny Welbeck and all of these people in there, but I think he's slowly and surely bringing in the type of player that he wants to play at Brighton, and you can easily see Brighton being part of the top 10 unit now in the league. So from where they're pushing, but you also have Newcastle that have added, you've Wolves that have added, West Ham are strong in there. So there's going to be a savage battle from Crystal Palace upwards, really, and to see who's going to be
Villa as well.
Yeah. And you're going to see a big battle between these teams to see what's going to happen. But he looks like he's the type, like Graham Potter likes to play with a guy that can defend, but also a guy that can get forward and cross the ball. And he likes aggressive wing backs as well. So we'll only have to wait and see. His stats speak for himself. But I mean, I always, even when you say it about the Portuguese league, they seem to do well over here. But when you get players like this coming across, you have to see they have to do it in the transfer league. So we'll only see he'll have a season to do it, and I don't think he'll get judged too harshly in his first season. But Cucurella came in, I know he's sitting at Chelsea doing well.
Yeah, no, I was trying to get that bloody. That was my cat in the background. where's that article? But as Connor said, obviously Cucurella was from the Spanish league, mate. And do you think this would be a good sign for them?
Oh,
Just before
yeah, no, I didn't mean the Spanish league. I thought he was a Portuguese player. Isn't he a Portuguese player now? Or is he a Spanish player?
He's
Spanish
Ecuadorian.
league.
I think.
Ecuadorian,
Yeah,
okay, okay.
Ecuadorian slash
I
Spanish.
thought he was
I think,
Portuguese.
his
Okay.
nationality. That's right. Do you think he'll do well, as Spider's alluded to there, mate? Yeah, their business in recent times for Brighton has been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it has been. Cucurella, 1 season in the door and got a massive profit off him, and he was their best player last season. If you can do a little bit of that, that'd be of course a phenomenal signing. And to be fair, Brighton have done phenomenal business over the last couple of seasons. You look at even now, I think they're getting 20 odd million for Maupay at the minute from Nottingham Forest, which that's a great deal if they can get that done. And again, you look at people like Basuma selling him. They probably wish they could sell him a lot, sooner probably to get a bit more money. But again, good recruitment, and that's just it. It just the whole club is right, isn't it? With Brighton, you've got a correct manager in Graham Potter. He knows what he wants. He knows the style of football that he wants. Just everything is clicking together at the minute for Brighton. Again, the only thing I'd say for Brighton is they need a striker that we've said for about 3 or 4 years.
They're getting rid of Maupay, aren't they, as well, potentially?
Yeah, but when you've got Danny Welbeck playing as well as what he's did against Manchester United, didn't see the Newcastle game, but against United he was great. But again, they need a striker. They need reinforcements there, and once they get it, again, that's the major weakness we've all said about Brighton for the last 2 seasons. And realistically, there isn't many else weaknesses around Brighton.
Yeah, 100% there, mate. And I was trying to bring up before Tilly popped up on the screen. It wasn't quite John Barnes. Didn't leak anything. We got João Felix there, as the lads were mentioning. This is coming from AS. Usually they talk a load of BS. But 130 million bid supposedly for João Felix. As Chat was saying, alluding to before, that'd be madness, wouldn't it, Bill? If this did come to any truth, really, in reality. But as you can see there's buyout and release clauses in excess of 350 million euros. So he's not the answer, is it, Bill? Is it just it seems like in recent times for Man United, a scattergun approach to any transfer?
Well, it seems that way. I mean, they were linked the other week with Marko Arnautovic. So they come from Marko Arnautovic to João Felix. So, obviously João Felix is a phenomenal player, but I mean, they need, so many positions they need to fill, which they should have done at the start of the transfer window. But obviously, they're, a couple of weeks in, they still have those problems. You guys as Liverpool fans will be loving the fact that they still have Fred and McTominay as their central midfield pair. I mean, they are nowhere near title winning or even Champions League quality, in my opinion. I mean, they would have been brilliant, them two, in the Sir Alex Ferguson era when they had like the likes of John O'Shea and Quinton Fortune, like who could play the odd game but be fantastic squad players, not first team quality at all. So they need proper centre midfielders who can tackle and pass the ball and receive the ball in the half turn. So, so I think that João Felix, I think it's a load of nonsense. But there's so many areas. Man United, fullbacks, Shaw's injury problems have come again. They're playing Dalot, who's not good enough. Wan-Bissaka's not good enough at right back. I say centre of the park. They need people, and obviously,
and a new manager, Bill, as well. They need one of them.
Well, I mean, I think as Gary Neville said, he's been dealt a really bad hand with the lack of transfers. So there's only so much you can do with shit players.
Yeah, absolutely. The most facts that's been said by Phil, by Bill on tonight's episode. Absolutely, load of rubbish.
All individual players, Jack, though, isn't it? They're all individual players. There's nobody working.
It's like buying footy manager, isn't it? Doesn't seem to be any structure.
It might have been funny, but they should have gone for people like Holberg or something in Spurs or somebody. These type of players that would come in and work their ass off. Basuma would have been good. A good signing for them. Holberg, Basuma, and they would have had the bones of a good spine in the team.
They've needed a DM for like 5 years, haven't they? Well, since
since Michael Carrick retired.
Yeah.
And that on MNF, Monday Night Football, before the before your game, guys, against Crystal Palace. I mean, they I think it was quite generous that Neville and Carragher picked 2 green successes for United in the last 10 years. I mean, I thought Zlatan and Bruno, was it? Bruno Fernandes and Zlatan as the 2 green ones. I mean, that was quite generous, of course. Do you know what I mean?
He ambered didn't he amber Bill? Didn't he amber was it Harry Maguire?
I think so. And Shaw might have been another one in amber as well.
I never got why. And I know Juan Mata, but I don't get why they put him in the reds. When he was, he's been arguably, apart from David De Gea, probably the most consistent player when he was at United. I don't get why he was in the red. And you've got people like Bruno Fernandes. He had that one amazing season, but that's all he's had. He hasn't done nothing.
Well, technically, Fellaini as well, chat as well. Would you say?
Yeah.
He won trophies at United, something that a lot of those players haven't done. Love it.
Well, exactly.
What about the Scottish lad that was in the midfield with
McTominay?
No, the other
Fletcher.
Darren Fletcher.
I mean, he played well enough from he'd keep consistent games from, but these lads get overlooked because all United see is stars and superstars that don't turn up from. I mean, you had Di Maria that went there, you had Depay that went there, they all failed. Sanchez went there, all failed.
Sanchez, Falcao's another one.
Yeah, they all went there. What's his name that went there from PSG didn't get a look in because of Ronaldo last season. He had a good season before that. Cavani, so
he was too busy going to concerts when the match day was on.
You might as well. Ronaldo's have to turn up, so I'm going to go after see a few shows, and and that's what happened, And the problem is, at United, Ronaldo's a massive problem for them. I don't know how their fan base is going to take how he's treating the club and wanting to get out of there as fast as possible. What is he, 37 years of age, and he wants to go and play Champions League football, which is fair enough. But I mean, I know he was doing his job and stuff last season. He was a top goal scorer and everything, but you can't turn your back on the club that's come in to sign you when you wanted to get out of the Italian league and nobody else was spending money, and they're still not wanting to spend the money on him right now because they can see that he just doesn't do enough. Besides, he can score goals, but he just doesn't do enough, so he can't improve other teams that are not Manchester United, if you get me, because they can create chances and he can get on the end of them, but the problem is they have no defense, they have no midfield. It's just a ball over the top that kind of gets him lucky, and he's so good and so talented at what he does that he can trap a ball and shoot it from pretty much anywhere. So he's at his stage now where Van Persie was at when he was at United that time for his last season, and they'd have to ship him out and completely change it up, or Ten Hag is not going to get any control in that club whatsoever.
Ten Hag's at the wheel, isn't he?
Yeah.
But quickly rattle through these. I know Connor's live in literally 5 minutes, so quickly round up. But as Alan said, even if United try and buy these players like him for 130 million, they won't.
Mm-hmm.
You won't go there as well.
Yeah,
the lad smashing it. Nice one, Dave. Bye-bye, Naby lad. Yeah, you can see Connor cry in the next 5 minutes on his channel. I get him to plug that, so it'll be good viewing. Get the tissues out, Con. A new stadium, Jack. Oh, yeah. Actually, adds to the long list that they need, Alan, up the Reds. We can all take joy because God help us, not just Liverpool fans, but the rest of the Premier League, the way they treated everyone when they were winning trophies.
Yeah.
And all those quotes of saying, we'll never fall like Liverpool. Well, it's been 10 years, so only another 20 years ago. United can even get a ball boy these days. Yeah. Ten Hag is a genius. Yeah, there we go. Ball boys as well. And bring in someone like Nunes or Barella to have those Naby as well. But absolutely fantastic. But Spider, please do shout out your channel, mate, and obviously what you've got coming up this week. And thank you very much, mate, for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, lads. As you can see right there, it's Spider LFC. We have the other channel, The Kitman, but it's not up and fully running yet. It is there, but you can follow it if you want to. But Spider LFC is just mostly you'll see me for the watch along on Monday for the United game. So that should be good. That should be a good bit of crack, I'd say, to watch, and with a few beers anyway, if you want to join me. And most nights you'll find me on Irish Spider Guy on Twitch, where I'm pretty much just shooting up the place, and having a bit of crack. So yeah, that's where you find me, lads. Cheers.
Yeah, you're welcome, mate. And Bill, thank you very much for jumping on, mate. I do appreciate it. Obviously, just shout out your channel, mate, and what you got coming up this season.
Yeah, cheers, Jack. So yeah, I've got my own channel, Garage Football. So I do a lot of West Ham content. I'm a West Ham fan, but I do content for other teams as well. So like vlogs, watch-alongs, especially for the Champions League, Europa League games, and yeah, other sort of football content, debates, discussions, etc. As I say, West Ham, but other teams as well. And yeah, I'll be doing a lot of that this season. And feel free to sub and enjoy. Cheers.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming on, mate, as always. And Connor, obviously, shout out what you've got coming on. And as I said, mate, thank you to all three of you for coming on. Just shout out what you've got coming up in a little second, and obviously this season.
So yeah, thanks for having us on again. We're going to be talking about Crystal Palace aftermath over on the Club Council and what Liverpool
That should be fun.
To go again. And of course, I will be speaking about Naby Keita in a brief moment. I'm going to be fuming in a minute. But yeah, just all Liverpool stuff at the minute. And of course, we'll have big build up for Liverpool Man United throughout the week. So yeah, come and check us out.
Yeah, and most important people on the channel, on not just mine, but everyone's channels as well. The audience, everyone watching and listening, most importantly. Thank you to every single one of you that has tuned in, or anyone that is tuning in after. Please do head over, support the lads as well. The massive supporters of my channel have been over the last couple of years as well. And thank you, gents, for coming on, and everyone for tuning in. Have a lovely rest of your night. And as always, we'll be back tomorrow for obviously a Manchester United build-up show anyway. And see you tomorrow at 8. You never walk alone, Reds. And thank you to every single one for tuning in.
Cheers, guys.